Alright, guys, we are back at it again today, and we have quite a bit on the go here for today. It is February 26th. Today is a Wednesday, I believe, here, and yeah, we're gonna get right into what happened on the 24th. I've been a little bit sick, and so unfortunately, I didn't get a video out yesterday, but that's really no excuse. I should be pumping these out daily, but the main thing is that. Yeah, it's been quite the hectic little past couple days. A lot of stuff going on for me. But in better news, recently we did hit this. So this was a plus 31,000 odds bet. I honestly cooked this up literally leading not moments before the game, but 20 minutes or 30 minutes before the game. And I actually did post this beforehand here. Let me just scroll down. Yeah, so I posted this on February 24th. Hopefully it could show a timestamp. Yeah, so at 7:23 p.m. Eastern time I posted this. So a couple hours before, yeah, we got the bet placement here. So actually no, not a couple hours before, roughly 50 minutes beforehand, before the game, we post this here. Have the slip, I could show screen recording proof of this. Someone else actually hit on this as well, which was pretty cool to see. I guess they didn't have a boost on it, maybe, is what the deal is there. But yeah, we swung them a follow back. They followed us, which was good shit. And yeah, so we hit this. We're kind of jokingly saying it was a donation and all this shit, but nonetheless, it was not. So that was a nice hit. Shame we didn't put 10, but obviously it's I don't put in stuff like this really often at all because it's a pretty low odds bet, and I'm more a believer of building up that bankroll over time with some more putting some edge in our favor. Obviously there was no edge in this. It was just kind of gut feeling. I just watched them play, watched the whole game the prior night and everything, and I felt this was a good look. And yeah, it ended up paying off, which is great. And we're gonna use that, use those funds to keep building up the bankroll. Ultimately, there's still some work to do. But yeah, that's kind of it. It definitely is worth a follow for me on X because there's some bets that maybe I don't put out here. Maybe later on. Like this, for example, I wouldn't have ended up showing on stream. On the video, but. It's just kind of stuff like this. There's little bankroll builders through $5 to build in the 40. Hopefully 3 plays that I like on there. I didn't even include Malik Monk, I don't think, in today's bets because I feel like the odds are kind of a little bit lower for a straight bet in my opinion. But still could be doable if you want to do that. Yeah, that big Lakers and Mavericks game happened recently and all this stuff. So yeah, definitely a lot of content over on X there. Yeah, we're up to 280 followers, 279 followers really at this point. So we're looking to keep building that up ultimately. But yeah, now getting into the recap with what happened on Monday. So other than that big win, we had 8 plays you put out. I think more so, if anything, I was just trying to bring eyes to, some plays I liked for the day. And luckily, it was a profitable day. 5 wins, 3 losses. Unfortunately, Edwards really hooked us as far as an opportunity to go 6-2 on the day. The 76ers just got absolutely taken care of. I think they end up losing that, by 32 points there. The 76ers have been rough, man. They're giving some other teams a run for their money as far as, being one of the worst in the whole league, which is crazy considering, some of the pieces they have kicking around there. But, we all know how Embiid ultimately is. We had the Nuggets took care of business for us. They ended up winning their game by 9 up against the Pacers, which they should have, of course. The Pacers are kind of, picking up their play as of late, but, not being able to get done against the Nuggets is no surprise there. The Hawks money line, this actually was a closer game than it appears. It was really neck and neck up until kind of the fourth quarter. So that was good shit. So yeah, we go 3-1 on our spreads and money lines plays for that day. And the cool stuff was I actually did get Pistons money line and Hawks money line at plus value, but I wasn't just about to throw the video out at 1 in the morning, but maybe I should start doing that to get the lines out as good as possible. Yeah, this is the biggest kind of stinger on the day was Edwards over 32.5 points plus rebounds. If we take a look at this box score, he got 35 minutes, but really it should have been 40 or 42 plus. So what happened is it was the third quarter and leading into the fourth, late third quarter leading into the fourth. They end up resting Anthony Edwards and Naz Reid and all this stuff, and it was kind of just Rob Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr. I think maybe McDaniels was kind of out there. They had Jalen Clark out there for sure, but yeah, they had Nickeil Alexander-Walker out there, so kind of even though they had a couple starters out there, they took Ant off, and that's kind of the main thing of it all was that This game ended up going into overtime, and he easily could have seen 40 minutes plus, and literally all it would have taken was him to hit just 1-3 in those 5 to 10 extra minutes he would have gotten if he played some more of the fourth and the overtime. Because, yeah, he had locked in these minutes by, like, most of the fourth quarter. Like, I know he did end up coming back in OT later on, but yeah, like, he sat a lot longer than he should have if the game didn't get so out of hand. So, unfortunately, as it was 17 points, 13 rebounds. He shot 5 for 15 from the field, which is obviously not good at all. 1 for 6 from 3, which is terrible. So, just a rough shooting night from him. So, I still think it was a good read, but ultimately it just doesn't pull through. Trae Young absolutely killed his line. Over 10 half assists. He had 14 on the day. And then Westbrook, he just, I took a look, and in the first quarter, both these guys had a fat goose egg. They kind of pick it up after that, I guess. But, just a rough, slow start out of these guys that ends up, not getting the job done. So 5-3 on the day, at least a profitable day, and I'm always going to be happy with making money on the day, no doubt. So, yeah, now we're going to quickly dive into the plays of the day here. I always feel rushed to try to, not make this into a hour-long minute video, but I just might need to be what happens so I can, take a deeper dive into this, not feel like I'm just rushing through some key points, because it does kind of, almost make it seem like I don't put as much effort into it, which is man, I put hours and hours every single day into this, so it would be nice to kind of show a bit more behind the scenes of kind of what I look at. Because it is bigger than just, hit rate and matchups and stuff like that. There is a lot of, thinking that kind of goes behind it. But obviously at the same time, you never really know. I would never tell anyone, oh, this is a sure thing or a mega whale or all that stuff. I think that's all a joke ultimately. But, I mean, people do what they can to get people to start paying the money ultimately. And I would never sell any picks. I think, if I'm going to make money off this, it would be in a way that everyone benefits off of, not, selling gambling stuff ultimately. I think there's a better way than that. But nonetheless, our first play of the day we're going to take a look at is James Harden. We have two options, as far as the play, depending on what you think is better value and everything. I'm just going to quickly go take a look in deep stats here to search this. But yeah, for this, it's either you could go with Harden's rebound and assist line, which I feel is great value up against So I caught it at least 15, minus 120. I think that's even better than what I did actually get. I got it at minus 130. So at minus 120, that's even more juice. I might even put a bit more money on that. But yeah, he's hit this in 68% of his last 20. He's been even hotter on this in his last 10. And in his last 10, he has averaged 37 minutes, 38 minutes. Last 5, he's averaging 39.5. Whether the game's close, not close, Harden's going to get his minutes, man. He wants to be out there. Honestly, surprising to see, but it's he must be just, working towards things in his head. He obviously has records and stuff at this point that he works towards and everything like that. So, yeah, I do think this is a great line for Harden. I mean, everything goes through Harden on this Clippers offense. Against Chicago, 24th in rebounds to opposing point guards, 29th in rebounds allowed in general, 29th in assists allowed in general, and 30th in the whole, bottom of the whole league in assists allowed to opposing point guards. And obviously Harden is one of the best facilitators in the whole league. I think this is an awesome matchup, great value on the line. Things have to go pretty wrong for this to not hit. I think the line's at -8 for the Clippers, so they are, heavily favored, I think, at that point by the time it's an 8-point spread. But nonetheless, it's in Chicago, so I think, the Bulls have been playing solid recently. They got to work on the 76ers in Philly, so I think at home in a comfortable atmosphere, this should be a competitive, close matchup. I definitely wouldn't want to take Clippers -8, that's for sure. This feels like a pretty risky one at that. But, I think all things considered with Harden and his output, that this will be a great matchup. I'm always checking the injury reports just to see if there's kind of anything worth noting. Just Norman Powell out, which I feel plays into our favor for this. He feeds a lot off of Kawhi and everything as well at this point, also increasing Kawhi's usage rate. Going to just quickly see if there is anybody on the Bulls, just because I was checking this earlier, but things can change at any moment on these yeah, no Vucevic. I feel like that definitely only helps his case, grabbing the boards and everything. And yeah, this Bulls team, man, it's surprising that they scraped together these wins. I don't really think that they're that strong of a team, but nonetheless, they have been competing well as of late. So I think this is a great line for Harden here. We're going to take a look into... I can quickly pull up his double-double stats as well, just to give you kind of an idea about that. Was like a tremendous hit rate, like, for plus 100 against the Bulls. I think this is a great look as well. I also did put some money on Harden double-double at the same time. A unit on that, unit on his... Actually, no, I put like a unit and a half on his rebound assist, a unit on this, so it's kind of like a tiny little mini ladder, ultimately. But I really do have good faith in this happening. The minutes he's playing, his usage rate's through the roof. And it is a great look for him, in my opinion. Like, he's averaging right now a double-double plus money. I think, like, if anything, they could give it out for minus 115, and that would make sense. Minus 120, that would make sense. Like, it does seem like a pretty likely outcome, especially against the Bulls. So, not really sure, why there isn't as much attention on this as, I feel there should be. But yeah, we're going to dive into our next play here. Quentin Grimes over 17.5 points and rebounds. Someone that I honestly can't say that I watch a whole lot of or really bet on him often. But, with doing the research today, it kind of seemed like it was a good look. So yeah, when we take a look at kind of like his recent performance and everything, we can see that his last 10 games, not including the games he doesn't play, he's averaging around like 28, 31, 36. Like, I would confidently say that he's averaging around 28 or 30. Unfortunately, one of the flaws of this in the game log, they actually like attribute these numbers into the average. So it's like if someone's looking and not really thinking, like, you could think, oh, he only averages 25 minutes, but in reality, like, if you take these numbers, take all these numbers here, not including these two, because the bet would void anyways if he doesn't play, all of these numbers considered, I think that gets you closer to like 28 minutes that he averages, if not. Like, if I was to quickly punch all those numbers into a calculator and then divide it by 8, I'm pretty sure that he would average more than that. He'd probably average like 28 plus minutes per game in all these past wins. The 76ers, they got to be hungry for a win. Like, when you look at these recent games, they have been catching it, and it's not even close. Like, it's close against the Nets, which you goddamn right it should be. Same thing about the Raptors. Beat by the Bucks by 8, beat by the Pistons by 13, beat by the Heat. I mean, that's kind of close. I'll give them that. Cleveland absolutely throws them around. Same with the Bulls. I mean, they got it worse from the Cavs, but I mean, at least it's the Cavs. Losing by 20 to Boston, I mean, these are NBA players. These are some talented individuals that don't want to be just catching it on a nightly basis. With that said, I don't think I would touch 76ers plus 10, because the Knicks have also struggled recently, and this might be a good team to take their anger out on at the same time, because everyone has been recently, ultimately. But yeah, when you take a look at just his past 5 matches, 33 minutes per game, they're letting him chuck up a good 12.4 field goals per game, and he is averaging a whopping 6.6 rebounds, which is, when we take a look at his past 5 games, he's averaging 22.6 on the points and rebounds, so pretty much 5 more points per rebounds per game than what they're prescribing here. I think this should be a somewhat close matchup. Like, I mean, it's not like the Knicks have been looking too hot, and the 76ers should be desperate just to show some life, show some signs of life, a heartbeat or something, ultimately. So I do think that this is a great look. Quentin Grimes is a very talented individual. He's been starting for the 76ers, with 76ers dealing with a couple injuries right now and everything. I'm pretty sure that's all the same based on all my research earlier and last night. That we take a look here. Embiid's out. The whole gang's pretty much out. They're dropping like flies in Philly. The morale's got to be pretty low, ultimately. But great opportunity for Quentin Grimes to showcase what he's got. You got to keep in mind these players are competing for a lot more than just like the regular season. They have their contracts and all this stuff at stake, especially for someone like Quentin Grimes who isn't necessarily established in the league. This is a great opportunity for him to showcase what he's got, especially in New York. In Madison Square Garden, a lot of people can scrounge up performances from nowhere. The Knicks defense is 26th in points allowed to opposing shooting guards. and 17th in rebounds allowed to opposing guards. Yeah, for Quentin Grimes, I feel like a lot of attention will get traced onto Maxey. He is a good facilitator, so I think that this opens up the door for Grimes with all the attention that will be put on Maxey and Paul George, for example. He's a sneaky little option for this play here. And yeah, that's kind of what made me come to this conclusion here with the 17th in rebounds to opposing shooting guards and 26 with the points. His hit rate, the minutes he's going to get, the shots he's going to put up, the pace that the Knicks will probably be looking to play, because there's no reason they can't push the tempo against these 76ers. Especially at home where the confidence should be there for the Knicks. So I really do like this play for Grimes. Raptors plus 11. Now this is, touching spreads like this can always be dangerous because, when a team is favored by 11 points, that is no mistake. They're expected to win the game. They're expected to win the game commandedly. But I think the way that the Pacers and the Raptors match up is not really the most ideal thing for the Pacers, in my opinion. I was at the Raptors and Pacers play-in game not this year, but I think it was like in December that I went to this game, and it was good stuff. Actually, no, maybe it was early January. Time's been flying. But anyways, I've seen this game in person. The Raptors really matched up well. The Raptors are healthy right now. I know the Pacers have also been competing well, but at the same time, they dropped some games to some questionable sources. Ultimately, getting dealt with by Memphis by 31 points is not good whatsoever. My apologies. That's for my bad. That's for Indiana. But I will pull up, Indiana's recent games as well. But yeah, definitely not good that the Raptors did that nonetheless. But, them competing with Boston last night, they kept it within 10 points. The game was closer at points. Although there was no Kristaps Porzingis, I do think, Celtics are tough to face no matter what. They beat the Suns commandedly at home. They've been on a good home stretch here, so it will be a little venture to Indiana for them, but that's nothing too major. Some of their recent history, they are competing well. You don't expect them to beat the Cavs. You can't. The Heat are competitive. They kept it within 9 to them. I would argue the Heat are similar to the Pacers, maybe a little bit better. Pacers are streaky. I don't have a whole lot of trust in them ultimately. Their defense, though, has been holding up, no doubt. And the Raptors' offense isn't the greatest, but at the same time, when you flip the script, the Raptors' defense is pretty good and definitely is better now than it is reflective of here as the season total. I think that, with how the Pacers match up to the Raptors, that the Raptors will be, showing up, competing hard. They're definitely not looking to tank, it seems like. So I'm not saying to take their money line, but I think if you take a look at their plus 11 spread, they have covered this in 75% of their last 20 games, which is really goes to show how competitive they really are. They're not looking to just get blown out of the building. They want to put up a competitive matchup, and there's no reason they wouldn't even be able to win again against the Pacers, if not at least keep it relatively close. So I do think that this is a really good look, really good value at plus 11. The line has been moving on this, so it's been being bet pretty frequently. So yeah, this is kind of my reasoning for the Raptors. I think a lot of this is kind of just my knowledge of watching the Raptors team play so frequently, since I do live somewhat near Toronto. I've actually caught a lot of Pacers games recently. Funny enough, I think I've just kind of had bets on some players in those games, and then I end up having to watch it. But we also look head to head. Some of this can be taken with a grain of salt because obviously a lot of roster movement year in and year out. But in their past 5 games against the Pacers, they've kept it within 11 all of those times. If not, they're honestly beating the Pacers in a lot of these games. And winning commandedly in a lot of these. So, this is a Raptors team that have, in theory, had the Pacers number for quite some time now. I don't think they're scared of showing up to Indiana by any means. The last 2 times they've been there, they've walked away with a win. I'm definitely not ballsy enough to take the money line, but I do think plus 11 is a good look here. I will quickly pull up the Pacers just to kind of be informative about, what's been going on for them in these past games. So when we take a look at their last 20 here, they have won. Wow, they have done a lot of winning. I will give them that. They have won 70% of their last 20. And when we take a look against the teams they've lost to, they have lost to some pretty good teams. They've lost to the Nuggets, the Knicks. I mean, they're good, even though they've not been good recently, and they can definitely turn it around. The Lakers, of course, have been competitive this year, been, even better, obviously, now that Luke is there. I don't think Luka was there at this time, obviously, but... And losing to Portland, that shows a bit of vulnerability, but they were away for that game. They lose by 30 to the Spurs at home. I'd have to take a deeper look at why that was. But, yeah, they definitely have been winning, but it's not even that we need them to win. We need them to win by 11, so... For them to win by minus 11, because it always tries to put it in these minus half thing. They've only covered this line in 20% of their games of the last 10, and only covered this 45% of their last 20. When we take a look at who they've covered this against the Clippers, I mean, that's not hard to believe for me. The Grizzlies are not the greatest, so I think that's fine. Only beating the Wizards by 4, I think that says something about them. Against the Knicks, they lost by 13, so that's obviously not a good look for them. The Lakers beat them by 7. Portland beat them by 23. They beat the Clippers by 7. Wow, they've dealt with the Clippers a couple times recently, that's for sure. They beat the Detroit Pistons by 14. They beat the Pistons. That's pretty impressive. Pistons have been playing well recently. Beat the Spurs by 38 points. So yeah, I think especially when you consider the recent play, they have played in a lot of close games, if not losing by a lot. So I think that this, further confirms why it is a good opportunity for the Raptors to, pull through just as far as the spread. Definitely by no means am I saying the Raptors are the better team or likely to win, but I think they are likely to keep it close in this one. Next, we're going to take a look at DeMar DeRozan's over 20.5 points. And it's a shame I did not get this to you guys earlier, because this has been seems like a lot of people online have been on this bet as well. I mean, sometimes it's reassuring when I look online and I see other people are on the play that I had cooked up, but I mean, kind of makes me think, does Vegas, not want that to slide at that point? It's almost nice to kind of have those sneakier bets that not a lot of people are on. When we take a look at his matchup grade here against Utah, it's an A, getting a little bit closer to that A+ range, which is amazing. So yeah, when we take that off, take a deeper dive into how DeRozan's been performing recently. He has killed this line. Well, not killed, maybe it was close. He has been doing well as far as getting, staying consistent, getting his 21 points or more in 60% of his last 20. In his last 10, he's been averaging like 35, 36 minutes per game. I know they let him chuck up a lot of shots. He's averaging 16.1 in his last games, and he's been retaining it in his last 5 as well. So he's been getting 16 shots a game. I know a lot of these are likely to be, some more middies and, driving to the lane opportunities. So it is a lot of twos he scores, but at the same time, he has been shooting it well from the three-point line, and all we need is a couple to get us going ultimately. His 21 points I feel is a great line. When we look at how he's been performing, he's had some killer performances recently. I mean, DeRozan, he is a bucket getter. He always has been. Definitely someone I do like having my money on. In the last 10, he's been averaging 24 points. We're facing a Utah defense that, they rebound well. That's about all they do well. Unfortunately, they're not good whatsoever. They do have a couple of pieces that are good, but it is rough. It is rough what's going on in Utah. I'll give them that. 28th in points allowed to opposing small forwards, 28 in points allowed in general. That's, the biggest takeaway here is that, the Jazz, their pace is pretty high, as well as the Sacramento Kings pace. I think they're both like top 10 or at least top 12 in pace respectively. And they both have some weaker defense, so I think this will be a high-scoring game. I think the over-under was set pretty high as well. I will clarify, exactly what that's at. Let me quickly sign in here and check what this over-under is at on the game, because I'm pretty sure it was at like around 240, and I think that is that just goes to show how competitive and how high-scoring. So yeah, it was at over 236.5. The Kings are favored by 9, but they're in Utah, so I feel this could, be another competitive matchup where DeRozan gets his minutes, gets his shots up, and, we hope he scores 21 points or more. Ultimately, nothing's ever guaranteed, but I think this is a little bit of edge in our favor. I think that's what it's all about, is that edge over time leads to the balance increasing ultimately. Finally, we're going to take into our highest odds play of the day. So Jalen Brunson over 2.5 threes. I got it at minus 130. I mean at plus 136, but I am going to clarify what it really is. So it's at plus 124 now, so it's kind of reassuring that it dropped, but at the same time you guys can still get this for plus money confidently. So yeah, we're gonna pull up your Jalen Brunson stats and take a look at how he's been shooting the ball recently and what his matchup is this evening. So you go here. DraftKings does have a little bit better odds, so that is something to keep in mind. It is always nice to kind of like arb it out, find the best odds, because although you know the difference between plus 125 and plus 135 may not be like seem like a big difference now, if you bet frequently, you bet for a long period of time, all of those little kickbacks do really add up as far as building up the bankroll if you are staying profitable. And yeah, now we're going to take a look at his three-pointers made and you know, who he made them against and why it is a good look to take him here for 3. So we will just break it down into the last 20 games here. He's gone over this line 50% of the time at plus 100, so there's a bit of juice here with plus 135. I feel this is a little bit highly priced. The Philadelphia defense is 23rd in points allowed to opposing point guards and 29th in three-pointers made to opposing point guards and 20th in threes allowed in general. I think with watching the 76ers recent game, like, their defense is bad. They stand around. There's a lot of open shots going around. You give Brunson 1 or 2 open threes, and all he has to do is make like one ISO contested 3. I know he only shoots so many threes a game, but even still in some of these key matchups where, you know, they're going to lean on him a bit more, he's been shooting 9, 4, 9, 7 3-pointers per game. He's averaging only 2.3 a game, so this would be a little bit of, not the same anomaly, but that's why it is priced at what it is, because he has kind of been failing to meet this mark as of late. But as we see here, he can go on stretches where he's hitting 3 to 4 3-pointers per game, no problem. And I think that this line is just kind of sunk because of his recent performance. But he has a good jumper. It looks smooth. Like, he's a consistent player. He's always getting his shots up. And I think against the 76ers, there will be a bit more of an opportunity for it to be like a 3-point shootout between the Knicks, between the 76ers. I think, you know, the Knicks need to find some confidence at home. And I think, you know, that will be through Brunson facilitating the shit of this offense. His usage rate's through the roof. That kind of, you know, shows me why that should be the case. You know, you look at his last 5, you know, appearances against the 76ers. He's cleared, his last 6, sorry, he's cleared this in 4 of his last 6. And yeah, really, if we get those 3 threes out of him, that would be best case scenario. Those are in the playoffs there. So that even shows, like, you know, in a lot of these playoff games when it was, you know, the stakes are on the line, he was able to kind of will himself to shooting well against the 76ers. I mean, traditionally he has performed really well. Like, you could almost sprinkle a 40 bomb out of him just because of how he's matched up with them. I think for all the energy that Maxey exerts on the offensive end, it is tougher to, you know, play that lockdown defense, especially on a player like Brunson who is very crafty in his scoring. You could also consider his points line, but I didn't think, you know, that there was as much of an edge as far as this. 27 points, I mean, he could pretty easily fall into a facilitation role, and I think I would be a lot more confident of him just hitting those 3 threes and it be over and done with as far as that. So that's my last play there as far as Brunson. I mean, this has been, yeah, even like with me trying to like dumb it down, well, not dumb it down, but kind of like condense all the information. We still are at like almost half an hour on this video here, so I'm going to wrap it up, but we'll be back tomorrow with a recap as far as what happened and with some more bets for tomorrow, and, you know, hopefully we profit on the day today as well, and we can, you know, move into tomorrow with some momentum to build up a nice profitable week. So appreciate you guys.